Greetings and bienvenue, Midnight Crew. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
I'm tired of the spooky inner woods stories. Does anyone have any spooky inner city stories?
I grew up in a pretty bad neighborhood. Have a few stories, not all that paranormal, but still pretty creepy. I'll start off with the scariest thing that ever happened to me. Keep in mind that this is going off memory, and as we all know, a memory is just a story you tell yourself over and over. Some of what I'm about to write may be exaggerated, but it's all mostly true. Be me about 8 years old. Live a few blocks from the railroads. It is a semi-used commercial train lot. Dozens of cargo trains lay stationary on the tracks. The place is covered in greenery, though. Trees, bushes, weeds, and shit. Best picture I can find. A good place to catch garden snakes and rats. I was told to stay away from there. A lot of teens and junkies would go up there to get high, plus a bunch of feral dogs. But back then, the place seemed like a national park to a city kid like me, so I would hang there pretty regularly, sometimes with a friend, but mostly by myself. I would climb the oil tankers and box carts and search the tall grass for snakes and mice. The dogs did not really bother me, and if they did, the older kids showed me how to escape them, climbing a train and jumping from one to another until you reach the steel fence. Then hop down and climb over it. I did get into a little bit of trouble one day. It was nearing the end of summer break and I was alone, searching through empty bottles, trying to scavenge enough booze to see what getting drunk felt like. When a voice called out to me from behind. The voice belonged to an old bum who I assumed lived in the boxcar he was in. Note: homeless people would often make camp there, and the lot had a few trains that were no longer in use. Rail riders were also pretty common. I could not see the bum's face, just a silhouette inside of a dark boxcar. But I did notice that the train and the rest of the box carts seemed to be of an older model. The more I stood staring at the train, the stranger it got. For one, it had no graffiti on it or rust, and it was in immaculate shape. Seriously, it looked like a treasured miniature train set, completely out of place there in that lot. The man asked, "What state am I in, boy?" I did not answer. I was too busy admiring the strange train. He shouted, "I asked you a question, fucker." I immediately snapped back into focus, sensing danger. I said, "Philly, mister, you are in Philly." He started talking to himself then. I heard a lot of angry shits and fucks. I assume he hopped on the wrong train. He stepped out of the train then. This guy was the ugliest man I had ever saw, and still is, in fact. He was a filthy tramp with a long, mangy white beard stained piss yellow, unkempt hair, cotton white but thin and almost gone, a huge, bulbous, rummy nose, and I swear he had eyes of such a light haze that they looked yellow. His clothes were, of course, filthy, but worse of all was the stench. I could not smell it before, but when he stepped out into the midday sun and humidity, I wanted to vomit. He said, "I am going to freeze here, kid." He said, "I need a dog or something to cuddle up with in my sack this coming winter." He started approaching me. I started backing up. He said, "How would you like to be my dog, huh, boy?" He said, "We can start right now." Saying that, he began to laugh. I could see that all the front teeth on the right side of his face were missing. The rest were brown but did not look rotten. They looked sharp and powerful. I ran and he gave chase. I rolled underneath one of the trains all the way to the other side, jumped to my feet and made for the nearest oil tanker. They had a ton of ladders I could have climbed up. I did not make it. I had a good head start, but I could not outrun a grown man. A strong arm gripped me by the collar as I was trying to climb between the gap of two boxcars. Most of what comes next is hard to remember. He yanked me back and slammed me down hard. I screamed. The back of my head smacked gravel and I could feel my scalp open. He said some things, but I cannot recall what. I held my eyes shut tight, kicking and screaming, punching and scratching as he pinned me down by my throat. I was lucky, though. 2 junkies were nearby and heard my cries. I heard one of them shout something at the guy, but I do not remember what was said. I opened my eyes and my blood went cold. The tramp had a box cutter in his hand. His attention, however, was not on me at that moment, but on the 2 figures jogging towards us. I had thought that the tramp would have jumped off me at that point and retreated. Evidently, so did my saviors. The fucker did not hesitate in the slightest. He let go of me and charged them. While watching him run at the 2, I could see how he caught me so fast. The tramp, while a picture of unhealthiness, ran fast. Really fucking fast. I could see the gusto leave the dude's eyes as they stopped, and then turned tail and ran. The mad bum chasing them all the while, screaming gibberish. I saw my chance and ran. I did not bother climbing anything or trying to hide. I just made straight for the fence, rolling under trains if they were in my way. I heard a yell of pain in the distance, but it did not slow me down. I was more than halfway to the fence by now. It was not until I heard boots smacking against metal that I looked back. The tramp was on top of an oil tanker that ran horizontal to where I was, but it kind of curved inwards. He was gaining ground quickly. As fast as he was, though, I knew he could not have caught me. The fence was only a few yards away. He did come close, though. As I was scrambling up the chain-link fence, I could hear a body land on gravel. And I almost got hit by a car darting into traffic after I hopped the fence. I got away bloody, bruised and concussed, with pants stained by piss.
There's this dude in my town that's either a really incompetent mugger or a secret badass. I often take night walks around my area in semi-urban UK, and this one time I saw a guy in all black with a sort of blackface wrap. I immediately stopped to keep my distance. Didn't want to get mugged or some shit cause it was around 3 a.m. at this point. Dude looked like an urban ninja though. I was standing by some cars pretty far off, and after about a minute or so of him looking around, he broke out into a sprint down an alleyway. This is the point where I'd love to say I followed him and got inducted into his urban ninja club, but I carried on my usual route, keeping sure to watch my back. Fast forward about 3 months or so, I saw the dude again. This time I wasn't quite aware it was him, I just thought it was a dude heading my direction, and being that late I decided to cross the road to make it easier for the both of us. Minute or so later, when he's close enough from my periphery to pick out details, it's this masked guy, and I can tell he's eyeing me. Spaghetti starts flowing out of my pockets as I pick up the pace slightly to get away. As I said, probably just a terrible criminal, but to casually walk around that late in lamp-posted streets all masked up? Strange shit.
Pic related. It's the photo of the building we were in during the day. Be me, 18 years old. With friends, I want to go to an abandoned prisoner of war camp in a small town near our town to explore. Paint graffiti. 10 p.m. Drive to town. The camp is down a dirt road. Already kind of sketchy. We drive down it and park the truck. We get out. Get there. Explore the first 3 buildings. Paint. Pretty cool stuff in there. We go to the 4th building. Only way to get in is through a dark, broken window. We all get in. Notice blood stains on the floor. Nope. .jpeg. Do not want to look like punks, so we keep exploring. Go down a narrow hallway. All walls have holes in them and stuff. The flashlight on the phone turns off. What the fuck? Turn it back on. Look at my friend beside me. I see a tall, feminine, dark shadow figure out of the corner of my eye. Look to where I saw it. Nothing there. We all dip back to our truck. Fly out of there like a fast motion berth. Go back home. Still fucks me up to this day.
Chicago, about 5 years ago. Sold weed sometimes in high school to make a quick $20. Who has not? I never considered myself a dealer, but I guess some people did. My friend, who I usually buy from, asks if I want to do a few deals and make money. Better than working at Burger King. Says he knows another guy named Randy who has really good weed and other things. I do not know. Weed is one thing, but I am not looking to get serious with this. He assures me it is fine. We do a few deals together driving around the city, mostly to shitty ghetto areas. Do this for a month, make pretty good money. Then school starts. Randy and my friends say this is prime time to sell cause stoner college kids. Drive around aimlessly at midnight, waiting for a call. Get a delivery for Sauganash neighborhoods. Not as bad as our usual spots. I sit in the car while the other two go inside. 15 minutes later, I am still sitting there wondering what the fuck is taking so long. When I get a call to come in and bring the piece in the glove box. What? Is he talking about a weed pipe? Oh my goodness. It is a Walther 380 handgun. Do not know what to do, but they have the keys. So I grab it and try to casually walk to the house. Walk into my friend and Randy, and an unconscious man and his gangbanger-looking two friends held at knife point by Randy on the couch. They are saying something about them trying to rip them off and steal, and they gotta teach them a lesson. Drag unconscious man out to the porch and beat the ever-living shit out of him with a lawn chair. Finish by pouring boiling water on his back. I am sitting here watching this Scorsese shit unfold. We drive home. Randy is laughing his ass off and mimicking the screams the guy was making. Go home. Never talked to either of them again that night. And spent the next month playing dead until they moved on. And that's how I became friends with a sadist drug dealer named Randy.
Tale from a former street urchin. I've seen a lot of weird shit at night. Sorry if I greentext bad, I'm new. 5 years ago, living in the ghetto, walking around at night. No place to sleep, because the city has been removing homeless camps, cleaning up the city. Going down one street at night alone, very nervous for no reason. Obviously it is bad neighborhood, but I have never really been on edge like this. Turn down the alley. If it is empty, this is my bed. Oh shit. It is not empty. 2 people down the alley, completely naked on their hands and knees. Naked people are usually mentally ill. Turn around and start going as fast as I can. Never smart to run, because if people see you running, they might chase you down. Hear screeching from the alley. Sometimes it is smart to run. Sprint to the police station 2 blocks down. They usually arrest the homeless, but I figure they will not follow me in there. Hear them gaining on me fast. I am done for. Look back, they are gone. Do not know what the hell happened. For a few weeks after, I think I see them looking at me from around corners, disappearing when I look. That night was fucked up.
Was living near Lafayette, Louisiana back in 2007. Driving home from Walmart at about 1 a.m. during the week. Had to grab a new ink cartridge. Driving down the back road with no streetlights and a few houses here and there, but nothing close together. Looking ahead, I see something on the side of the road. Get closer, and it appears to be a woman in a white dress. Get even closer, and her face is wildly contorted, and she just stares at me as I drive by. Was not sure if she was lost, crazy, or some fucking ghost. I sped up and drove away as fast as possible. I only lived about 1.5 miles from where I saw her, and I lived in a 1-story house with a huge window next to where I slept. was so freaked out by the thought of her being by my window. I decided to sleep in my living room. I should have said I tried to sleep, did not sleep at all that night.
I work in fast food. The place I work is next to a bus stop and in a state with large homeless population. I have a couple stories of insane and questionable characters. The first story starts with me working outside. I have to stand in our drive-thru with an iPad and take orders. Standing in drive-thru. It is dead, so I'm just kind of shuffling around waiting for a customer. Where I stand is directly in front of the last parking space in our parking lot. Not many people park in this space because it is far from the store. A big white truck pulls up into the space. I begin to turn around to see who would park here. But before I can, the driver bolts out of the truck and into the drive-thru. He is wearing all white painter's clothes with a dust mask around his neck. He is staring at the main street beyond the end of my drive-thru, bolting his head in each direction of the street. At this point, I'm just staring at him confused. Do not say anything, but glance back at his truck. His license plates are both covered by a sheet. Looks intentional and very suspicious. I look back at him, and he turns to go back to his truck. He sees me and stops, looks me in the eye with a frown and says, "Go home." Gets into his truck and backs up. I saw him 3 more times that day, driving around our shopping center and looking around anxiously. This is about my hobo friend. I think she is dead or in trouble. This woman seems to be on drugs, but not super bad. She is mostly friendly to me. Talk to her sometimes. She tells me about her son. He has the same name as me. See her almost every shift. She always says hi. I would say she was a friend. I work here for 9 months and see her all the time. But one day I come in and I see her. She is obviously distressed. I say hi. She just looks at me and then looks down. I ask her how her day is, but she does not respond. After this, I see her way less than usual. In fact, I stop seeing her altogether. Over the next few months, I kind of forget about her. But then one day in December, I see her again. It is 12:30 a.m., and she is walking outside our store, talking to the other hobos who sit around out there. I see her and decide to go take out the trash. Maybe I can ask her how she is doing. The moment I walk outside, I realize she is throwing a tantrum. She is wailing at these guys, begging them to buy her some fries and something to drink. She looks terrible. Her hair is messed up, her clothes are ajar, and she is sick. She was straight up begging these guys for something to eat, as if her life depended on it. The guys brush her off and she walks off. I decide not to say anything to her and walk back inside. At 1:30 a.m. at the end of my shift, I walk out to drive home and see her lying face down across the parking lot. She is not passed out. She is coughing and wheezing, moaning and wailing incoherent gibberish. I look at her for a few moments, and then a man walks up to her and squats beside her. He says in a disgruntled tone, "You are still sick. God, you look awful." She just kind of moans. Dude picks her up and carries her to a van, opens the back seat door and puts her in there. She kind of sits up and looks at him, yells in his face, and he slams the door on her. Dude drives off quickly. It has been 6 months and I have not seen her since.
Around 2 years ago, I was fresh out of rehab and decided to become business partners with my acid dealer. His shit was good, I wanted it cheaper, and I admittedly liked the image of dealing acid. Nothing special. He was the older brother of an autistic kid my friends and I would somewhat hang out with at the neighborhood park. Several stories go down with him, but one of the more potent ones was a deal going wrong and us winding up detained by police. Basically, we got the shit from a fucked-off trap house in the inner city, and all planned to trip that night, all being me, my friend, my partner, and his brother. I was impatient, though, and decided to take my hits, while everyone else decided to remain sober. I'm an asshole. We head towards a deal we have to make, which is clean on the other side of the city. And as the deal is going down, I can feel my trip coming on. The buyer's acting really sketchy, though, shaking, looking around, asking if he can see the stuff first. When my dealer refuses, Sketch lunges for the shit and tries to strip it from his hands. At that point, I'm still in shock as to whether or not this fuck is actually trying to rob us, because this was the first time it had ever happened to me. He bolts, and my friend who was driving jumps out and chases him down.
Anyway, I tried to follow my friend, but he's already farther than I can catch up to. Plus my shit was falling out of my pockets all the way. I figured, fuck that, he's got him, and jumped back into the car and told my partner to haul ass. We'll circle back and pick up my friend after the heat has died down, because the scuffle had caused the neighbors to come outside and call the cops. My partner, being the useless tool he was, just fumbled for a bit until I barked harder and he started to drive. My trip had just started, so I didn't want to chance my driving and have us wreck or worse. As he's driving as slow as humanly possible, we circle back and pick up my friend before speeding off, which I advised against, since the time it took to grab him could result in all of us getting caught. After exiting the neighborhood, my partner says, for whatever reason, that we need to go back and pick up his phone because he dropped it. Unfortunately, as he said this, lights flashed behind us. And we decide to haul ass. Not for long, though. All we did was take a few turns into the neighborhood so we could ditch the stuff. After that, we parked and the cops began screaming for us to put our hands up and stay in the car. We were called out one by one, with me being last. Of course it's me. As I got out, I accidentally dropped my Aries lighter onto the pavement, because I am, and forever will be, a complete spurg, which at the time I saw some arbitrary cosmological significance in. I walked over to cops backwards. They handcuffed me and placed me on the curb next to my friends. Be cool, for God's sake. They questioned us one by one, and luckily I was last again to enjoy the ant pile that was bigger than usual, the shifting geometric swirls of the pavement, the shimmering cop cars, and the fact the officers had a peculiar ability to transition from an Oompa Oompa to Slender Man so seamlessly. Laughter was difficult to manage, especially due to nerves as well. I knew if I started, though, I wouldn't stop until I was in a cell. Apparently the car reeked of weed as well, and they were trying to find out whose it was. I don't smoke, it gives me anxiety. All of my friends did, however, which was kind of why I decided to take my acid first. They did a test where they asked us to close our eyes and stick out our tongue while they shined their flashlight on our face. One by one, everyone seemed to pass, but I became increasingly nervous because I'm sure my eyes are completely fucked. As I leaned my head back and closed my eyes, I was completely lost in the unspeakable majesty blinding me at that moment, which felt like eternity. The cop barked, "Are you sure you didn't smoke? Because your pupils are dilated, your eyes are fluttering rapidly, and your tongue is green." "No, sir, I didn't smoke." Shortly after that, we were free to go home. My partner was taken into custody for selling fake acid, and the rest of us traveled back home with me trying to get his brother to chill out, partly because he's ruining my trip. Yada yada, the bridge ended up looking like Rainbow Road, and I pop on Abbey Road by the Beatles, and my night rocket's off to a much more magical experience.
But that's the end of the cop escapade.
I live in a big city complex. Blocks of flats everywhere. Be chilling, playing video games. Get tired of it, so make a smoothie and chill outside on the balcony watching city lights, 'cause why not? Sipping smoothie when all of a sudden I see about 2 balls of pure, blinding white light. Naturally, shit my pants and fall over backwards while spitting all of my smoothie everywhere. Quickly regain posture and look for lights which are now high in sky. They zoom this way and that, sometimes whizzing with a strange vibration that filled my entire body and dulled my hearing. I do not care, 'cause fucking UFO magic. I'm not missing this shit. Soon as I get my phone out to record the awesome display, the phone instantly goes dead. Hey, fuck it. No one would believe me anyway. Watch them for about 10 more minutes before they zoomed out into the distance. And that is my only UFO encounter.
I live in a suburban area, pretty calm and quiet. I used to live in the city, but not even there I've witnessed anything like this. It happened around 3:30 to 4 a.m. I was ready to go to bed after a long night of smoking and playing video games when I heard a girl screaming on the street. But it sounded so close I thought it was our neighbor, so I opened the window to check out what the hell was going on. I had to look around for a while until I found the source of the screams. The wall of our parking lot made it hard to see completely, but I saw what was happening. The girl was actually shouting at a guy. He was lying in the middle of the road, the girl sitting on top of him, beating him up pretty bad. Or at least that's how it seemed like. The girl was screaming things like, "You're disgusting, everyone hates you. And say it, tell me you're disgusting." The guy responded quietly, "I won't say it," while the girl wasn't only punching him in the face, but by her movements it seemed like she was kicking him in the balls pretty fucking hard, like I could actually hear her knee hitting the guy's balls. It was also strange how it all ended. I could hear a car was coming, and I wanted to see how could anyone react to these two in the middle of the road at this time. The car stopped a few feet away from them, and the girl ran at the car like a fucking maniac. She opened the passenger door, and all of a sudden the guy ran at her, knocking her down so hard she landed beside the trunk. Then both of them got in the car and went about their business like nothing happened. The driver didn't say a word. I guess he got used to this shit with these two. The whole story doesn't really sound scary like this. But before the car arrived, I wasn't really sure if I should call the cops or what. The girl was acting like a maniac. Her voice was pretty creepy.
I work as a teacher in an elementary school. One day a neighbor who lives near the school calls me, telling me about a child running around inside the building. I was about 10 minutes from there, so I decided to show up before calling the police because it would be a lot of trouble if it was a kid locked up. Left my car a few blocks away, in case the boy was actually a thief. I do not want to make so much noise. Open one of the emergency doors with my flashlight off in one hand and pepper spray in the other. Access the teacher's room to check the CCTV. Spend like 15 minutes searching, nothing. Adjust the setup for a new search. I was very focused when suddenly the light goes off. That makes me a little nervous. Reaching for my cell phone to call the police, but then I was thinking how coward and silly I would look if they found a scared teacher inside the school at 1:00 a.m. So I make up my mind to go outside and investigate by myself, thinking of the scenarios. A child who was playing hide and seek, a teen on drugs, a thief. What could be the worst to get beaten up and my belongings stolen? I search in all the classrooms, nothing. When I was about to leave, I heard something behind me. It was like if someone was throwing up. No, more like drowning. That sound faded in an inner scream. It was more like a force that expands, that heavy sensation, than a little kid crying, asking the whereabouts of his mother. Monday during the first period, I was called to the principal's office. There were cops. They asked me for my cell phone. With eyes wide open, they told me one of the students and his mother died. They drowned in the river after she lost control of the car. By the time the call was made, does not match with the hour time of death. I was the last person she talked to, as is stipulated in the forensic report 30 minutes after their deaths.
Deep in the heart of the city of Chicago, walking around at around 11 p.m. Summer night, everyone is still out. Hanging out in the park, drinking and smoking, get a beep from the pager, bum a couple quarters and walk to the corner store to use the pay box. Local prostitute is not there, so I use the payphone. Brother calls me frantically on the phone, says someone is in our house rifling through shit looking for something. Calm his ass down and say I will book it over. Run back to the park looking for my friend who can drive me. My brother strolls down the path with his girlfriend. I run over asking what happened. How did he leave? He has not been home since 7. Shit is getting fucking spooky right now. So me, him, and the Ghetto Mystery Inc. hop in my boy's wagon and head over. Get over there to see the cops all over the place. Turns out the group robbing me was a couple of drug addicts who thought I had money. The one was luring me into the house so they could beat it out of me. Unfortunately for them, my neighbor decides to play hero, walks in my house and got domed. He had called the cops, doubly fucking them. The one addict knew my brother and could do a deadpan expression of him. Severely fucked me up for years after that.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.